weeks.
Well, good morning. I'm Rabbi Brian. This is February the 15th, 2025. This is Saturday service number 255. And the Saturday service number 255 goes a little bit like this. I'm joined by a whole group of friends. Where are my friends? There's all my friends. They're all waving. Good morning. Good morning. And if you're watching afterwards on Facebook, or if you're watching live on Facebook, we can see your comments. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube or somewhere else, you can still make comments and we will see them. We just can't respond to them live. Oh, good morning to all those who I didn't say good morning to by name. Robin and Michael and Rita and Ray and Emily and Jordan. Glad to see all of you are here. I want to start first thing with an apology. I want to start with an apology because last week we did an exercise where we talked about the thing that is most on our minds right now, and I asked people in small groups to share the thing that was troubling them, and I blundered. And I forgot that there were new people. And for some of the people who were new, who had never been to a Saturday service before, it was akin to me pushing them into the deep end. And they weren't ready to share with a whole group on the internet what was troubling them. And I got a response from one of them apologizing to me for not participating. And I said, no. This is on me. Bad pedagogy on my part of pushing people to do something that they didn't feel comfortable with. So I wanted to first start off with the apology for going a little too fast, too deep. So thank you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming back, giving another chance. We had some homework. We were talking about right before we started the broadcast, and the homework was something like this. It had to do with Rabbi Brian's Guide to Eating Less Mindlessly. Rabbi Brian's Guide to Eating Less Mindlessly can be summarized. The instruction goes like this. Yeah, tell me, what was the instruction? The instruction was?
Empty your mouth before you put new food in.
Yeah. See if you can empty your mouth before you put new food in. And Harold, how'd it go?
Last night was Valentine's dinner with wife and daughter, and I tried, but it was so good. I was only about 50% successful.
Wonderful. Harold, you've been doing this game with me for long enough. What grade do you officially get for being 50% successful?
According to the Rabbi Brian standard, I get an A+.
Are you okay with that? Would you like a higher grade?
No, I would like to continue to keep it.
You can keep it. And the idea here is is be proud of what you did, right? Of being encouraging towards what you did right, and the more we can encourage that, you think about your favorite teacher in high school. Your favorite teacher in high school was not the one who reprimanded you all the time. Your favorite teacher in high school is the one who said, "Oh my gosh, I see what you're doing great work, keep it up."
We didn't have those teachers.
Yeah.
We didn't have those teachers.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's awful. Everyone should have had at least one or two people in their childhood who was encouraging them.
It's an age thing.
You had wicked nuns. Wait, say it again, Connie.
Well, it's an age thing. Back then, they didn't give kids a lot of praise or whatever. I mean, it was you do it, 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 you do it.
You don't
Yeah,
ask
it is.
questions.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. How?
True.
So, Connie, let me ask you a question. When you hear my crazy grading scale, and I'm throwing out an A plus to your husband, who only 50% of the time completed the task, do you think I'm being too lenient?
No, no, I like it. I like the A plus for 50%.
Yeah. Folks, let's talk about why we're doing this eating. I truthfully, I don't care. It doesn't matter if this is about us eating less mindlessly. It's about learning to change. It's about learning to do something differently. Because if we can learn to slow our eating down, well, then we can do anything. And I remember I used to do it with putting your shoes and socks on in a specific order. But I told people you had to put your left sock on, then your right sock, then your right shoe, and then your left shoe. And it was stupid. But there was the point to it was that if you practice doing anything, you can learn how to do anything. And if we can practice this eating thing, and we can practice seeing. Hold on, I got myself a little bit. Let me pause for a second. Look at all your lovely faces. Gather my thoughts again. Hello, lovely faces. Thank you for the few of you who waved. If when you are eating less mindlessly and you think 6 bites into the hamburger, oh my gosh, I forgot to be eating this slowly. However you treat yourself in how you noticed when you didn't do the assignment is how you treat yourself in most everything else. And my game is if I can teach you to catch yourself not doing the assignment right and being compassionate to yourself in this situation, I can help you to learn in whatever other situation where you didn't do the thing right to be compassionate to yourself. Thank you for the nods, so I know that at least on this. Can I get somebody to tell us a little bit about how'd it go last week? How'd it go? Ron, you all right, buddy?
I can't get it to stop.
We don't know what.
I'm trying to mute myself.
Well, I can mute you. Would that help?
Yeah.
It's not good when Ron has tech problems, because Ron's one of the people I go to when I need tech help.
Yeah.
Ron, I muted you. Like, flail around if you want me to unmute or do something. Okay, let me.
Sorry about that.
It's a deposit.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Okay, Ron, do you mind if we actually just use
Did I get charged from the parking lot?
Okay, I'm getting a little too many extra sounds going on here today. Hi, Ron.
I hate web pages that start with music without and stuff. It just
Without asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking for a poem for this.
Okay. Hey, Ron.
Yes?
What happens when things don't go the way you think they should go? You get frustrated.
Yes. I do.
Any chance of not kicking your ass for things not going right?
It's a long established habit.
Yes, 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 yes. Bingo. Bingo. Folks, how many of you have the long established habit of doing a thing that you don't really like doing?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everybody. Everyone has long established habits of doing things that we don't quite like. Go ahead, Bob, and then we're going to come back to this.
Yeah, in my career that I found that it's not best for me to kick myself. That if something didn't go right, I just say, I guess that didn't work. Let's do something different.
Beautiful, beautiful. But that's a habit. And you learn to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would like to have Bob's special recipe and saying to yourself, well, I guess that didn't work out right, with a sense of humor, as opposed to, God fucking damn it, it didn't work the way I wanted it to. If you would like to do Bob's method instead of getting frustrated, do you think we could learn to do that? I'm going to tell you, yes. Shantideva, 8th century monk in Nalanda University in India. He said this: there is nothing that does not become lighter through habit and familiarity. I'm going to say it again. There is nothing that does not become lighter through habit and familiarity. If you want to get good at smoking, what do you have to do?
Smoke.
Smoke more.
Smoke, right? There's nothing that does not get lighter through habit and familiarity. If you get angry at very quickly, there's nothing that gets lighter through habit. There's nothing that doesn't get lighter through habit and familiarity. The angrier you get, the more angry you get. The more you practice doing the Bob method of, oh, I guess I shouldn't kick my ass. That's how it went, the way it goes. There's nothing that does not get lighter through habit and familiarity. That's why we're playing this not putting more food in our mouth while we have food in our mouth game. It's just a practice. It's to hack learning. It's to hack how to learn. Go ahead, Jordan, and then Mary.
Yeah, I wanted to share something, a habit I changed recently, and I'm proud of it, so I'm going to share it with everybody.
Wait a minute. You're proud of something and you're sharing it with a group of people?
I know,
That's like
right?
double bonus points.
All right, so here it is. New Year's resolutions, infamously hard to keep, hard to make them stick. I was tired of spending so much time on my phone, particularly in the mornings. Right, wake up, reach for the phone, and then it's the news and games and whatever, and I can do that for upwards of an hour. So I decided to make a change, but I knew that I couldn't really do it myself, right? I'd need some help. That's where I am right now. So anyway, I found something on my phone that I could set up ahead of time, a blocker app, for a certain amount of time. When I wake up, 7 to 9, 2 hours every weekday morning, it goes off.
Okay, well,
Then I
I
pick
don't
up
know
my
if you
phone.
did, but I hope it'll work next time too.
Hold on a second. I need somebody. Naola, lovely to see you. Glad you're here. We're going to mute you for the moment. Go ahead. Jordan, we're up to 7 to 9. Your phone blocks keep going.
Yeah. And that's really the whole story, really. All I needed was something that when I pick it up and I turn on the news, the screen says, hey, you don't want to be doing this right now. I'm like, oh, you're right. I'm not. I can put it away. That's where I am.
A little reminder. Well done.
Exactly.
And well done in being proud of yourself.
Thank
and
you.
telling us about it. There's nothing that doesn't become lighter through habit and familiarity. You want to get better at being proud of yourself in public? You do a brave thing like Jordan just did. Good job, Jordan. Go ahead, Mary.
I was just thinking that quote reminds me of the 5 steps of learning. I don't know what the real name of it is, but that popped into my mind.
Guess what we were just about to talk about, Mary?
I guess I'm psychic, huh?
You are perfectly on time. I wrote this down. If we have hacked learning, and we have, what ought we set our sights on learning? If we can learn anything. I put the answer there. I'm going to put my finger over the answer. If we can learn to do anything, folks, I do believe that there's this great quote from Saint Augustine, who he had his problems, but I'm not going to throw all of him out. But he said, he wrote, "Si ille iste cor non ego," and I memorized it in Latin because I wanted it to have extra gravitas. And it means this: if he or she can do a thing, so can I. If it's possible to do, I can try to do it too. If our goal is, so let me go over this. I'm gonna rip my answer out of the corner again. If we have hacked learning, and we're going to go through the 5 stages of learning in a moment. If we have hacked learning, and we have, what ought we set our sights on learning? And I don't think we need to answer that aloud, but I'm pretty sure we all have the same answer.
Love.
And in some form, the answer is love. And let's talk about learning. There are 5 stages to learning. This is the work of Lev Vygotsky. Let me write his name down. He was a modern Russian education theorist. And Lev Vygotsky said there are 5 stages to learning to do something. And I was asked to come up with a acronym for them, which I wrote down. Here it is. They're the 5 stages of learning. Chof. CHHOIF. Chof.
Very memorable.
I'm glad you like it. I want to see, can you, from this, help me to unpack it into what the 5 stages of learning are? What was the first one? Can't do it at all.
Oh, like we did.
You can't do the thing at all. That's stage 1. Stage 2?
You need a
Help.
lot of outside help.
A lot of outside help. I'm going to call that one hand holding. So that's the CH. And then the H goes with the O, and then the H goes with the I for 3 and 4. So you can't do it at all. You need a lot of hand holding. Stage 3 of learning is?
Inside help.
Outside.
Hints from out.
You need a hint from the outside,
Yeah.
which is what Choff is. At this point, it's a hint from the outside. Stage 4 is
I can't myself.
a hint from the inside. Good. And stage 5
No,
is
I
the
can't.
F.
I can do.
Either that or you failed.
Stage 5 is fluid, that you can do it without having to think about it at all. Why we're trying to eat less mindlessly is just to practice and to see when you've shoved. I did this last week. I found myself, I don't do this assignment of eating less mindlessly. I don't not shove food in my mouth while there's still food in my mouth. I catch myself. But the question is, when I catch myself, am I able to be kind to myself? Am I able to be, where is the thing that says, don't kick your ass? There's a card somewhere on my desk that says, it's all right. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm realizing that there are very different use cases that we're talking about here. The case of the eating mindfully is a case of something that you do completely unconsciously normally, and you're trying to make it more conscious and maybe eventually again unconscious. Many other things that you're learning are things that you have to start by doing completely consciously, like playing the French horn, and you want to get to eventually doing it pretty unconsciously. I see those as actually quite different, but
So help me
maybe
out. In the
applies to
French
both.
horn, when I learned the French horn, I couldn't do it at all. I needed the teacher to show me how to hold the horn. I needed the teacher to give me hints the next time on how to hold the horn. I gotcha. So that was building forward. Give me the other example. So
Well, the eating
compare.
mindfully is something that starts mindlessly. You do not think about how
I
you
see.
eat, right? And that's so different from the case of learning to do something. Yeah.
I think it's still the same.
Yes.
Except
I'm not saying it doesn't have the same progression. I'm just saying it,
right,
it
right,
feels
right,
different.
right. For the eating mindlessly is that we insert ourselves here. I think in 4, where we hint ourselves. We don't have somebody at the table saying, "Hey, hey, 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 hey," and if you're at the table with somebody, please don't do that.
Yeah, it's a matter of unlearning.
It is unlearning. I see what you're saying, Dan. The one is learning forward, one is trying to unlearn. And we are doing that in the eating less mindlessly. We are jumping in here at number 4. Good. Okay.
Or if you have a spouse, you're jumping in at number 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going back to my outline here. I want to circle back. How are we going to get more of that in our lives?
Practice, practice, practice.
Ray, would you say that again? Because I think one of your 3 answers was right.
Practice, practice, practice.
How are we going to have our lives filled with more grace? Practice. Especially when we don't do something right. That's hard. Thank you, Ray. Let's do a review on hope. What are some things that we said last week about hope? I'm going to give a hint because I remember we had this. We had PGRA. We had these 5 letters.
Right.
We talked about hope. And my goal is that we should all leave here today with an intention towards more hope, to having more hope. But before we can have that intention towards more hope, I want us to go back. The last few weeks we've been talking about hope. What do we talk about when we're talking about hope? We are talking about this PGRAA. Anyone give me some of those letters?
Positive.
That positive. And the G, we didn't know how to get in there, but it was that hope had to have a positive goal.
Reality. It's got to be real.
It's real.
Hope has to be grounded in reality. You can't have hope for things that cannot possibly ever happen. It has to be grounded in reality. A.
Agile action.
Agile.
Yeah.
That hope has to be able to change.
And aspiration.
Aspirational we could put up here with positive goal. I'm a fan when we do an acronym to, like somebody says, here are the 4 L's of learning. That doesn't help me as much as 4 different letters. But aspirational positive goals. I don't want to cut you off there, Betsy. So they are aspirational positive goals, but I like the P and the G better. And then I had one more A.
Action.
Hope has to have some action to it. I found this last week. Actually, Jane sent this to me.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
No, it's the last one.
Hope and fear are about the same size at the start. Whoops. Hope and fear. Hope after taking action, fear after taking action. What happens to hope as you take an action?
It
Hope
increases.
grows. Yeah.
Increases.
And what happens to fear as you act?
It
Reduces.
Shrinks. Yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
So a week ago, last Wednesday, there was a rally at the Senate at the offices of our senators Merkley and Wyden and our local representative Dexter, and the word didn't go out to the indivisible list until late Tuesday. It didn't go out to anyone outside the list. I wasn't on the indivisible list. I got a call at 10 from a friend inviting me to go with them to this rally.
At 10 p.m.
So I showed up, and it was sleeting and it's hailing. It's sleeting, it's nasty weather, but I'm there. And there's a few people there, and more people show up, and more people show up, and more people show up. And I started off with a sense of futility. I'm doing this because somebody needs to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were over 500 people there in the sleet with less than 12 hours notice.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe only a quarter of them actually got the notice. And that gave me such strong hope.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ron. It's the doing of the thing. And that's why I have my goal. My goal for today is that you leave here now, you leave this gathering with some action towards hope. And the action towards hope, let me be very clear, does not mean you have to go to a rally. All you even have to do to have an action towards hope is, it feels a little bit like Harry Potter, Dumbledore, and the magic mirror that granted wishes, and whatever you saw in the mirror became true in real life. That the action towards having hope might just be to have hope. And having hope is an action. It's a little bit of a brain fuck, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yep.
Is the act of having hope, is action enough to have hope? Go ahead, Diana.
I think there's a piece here too that can precede taking action oneself, and that
Go
is witnessing others taking action. It's like part of the learning thing is let me watch to learn. And those 7 prosecutors who just resigned rather than compromise their integrity just gave me such hope.
Yeah. And choosing to swim in that hope. It's a choice. Thank you, Diana. Thank you so much. Okay. Hope. I have another thing about hope. Hope. Emily Dickinson taught me that hope was the thing with feathers, and we talked about that some last week, that hope is fleeting, and it leaves, and it flits in and out. And then I saw this quote. People speak of hope as if it were this delicate, ephemeral thing made of whispers and spider webs. It's not. Hope has dirt on her face, blood on her knuckles, the grit of cobblestones in her hair, and just spat out a tooth as she rises for another go.
Amen.
Amen.
One of my favorites. That was beautiful.
Spring Phoenix just added, Viktor Frankl famously said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, the freedom to choose one's attitude in a given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. We can choose hope. Frankl also documented, is disturbing but true, that nobody without hope survived the camps. Not everyone with hope did, but if you did not have hope, you did not survive.
Mm.
Ellen and Andy, go ahead.
What question and a life example? How do we know when hope is not realistic? How do we know when it's just not achievable?
Great question.
And my real life example, long story short, is a friend of mine whose parents were in the Holocaust, and they were very difficult. And he thought the only thing he could do was to totally separate himself from his parents. And I continued to have hope and encourage him that there were ways to try to build bridges back. And basically, it destroyed the relationship. And he just said, Andy, you're just unrealistic. You don't get it. You're not listening. And the relationship has never been the same since. So I had hope that he thought was unrealistic.
Yeah, it's hard to have hope for somebody else.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy. I wish I had brilliant solutions and ways to put that. I don't. Thank you for the reminder. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, just in response to Andy's thing, I was thinking about the A for agile in hope. To me, that goes with the realistic. Maybe part of what was going on with that hope eventually becoming destructive was that agility wasn't there. Like, forcing to have hope despite repeated messages that's not realistic is going to kind of kill hope over time.
Yeah.
Taking another tact.
Yeah, like at some point with hope, even if it seems realistic, I've had plenty of hopes that seemed realistic at the beginning, but after repeated banging my head against that wall, I realized that no, that's not realistic, and I kind of gave up on that hope. So I think the R and the A are closely related in that acronym.
Thank you, Al.
I think patience belongs there too.
I wonder, Jack, thank you. Patience. I wonder if we can't put where do we put Jack, how do you feel about the word persistence?
It's not
Not the same.
It's not the same because persistence comes and goes like the wind.
So
persistence also means you're doing something.
I spent my life working, and one of the things that got me through it all was my persistence in doing what I had to do.
I put patience in. Robin, thank you also for adding in. Say what you said again, Robin.
I just said persistence requires you to do something, and patience is not a doing. It's a being.
A long game. Yeah. I got you. Go ahead. Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Carol. Thank you, Robin. Go ahead, Carol.
I think saying that we can get hope by practice leaves out the point that practice may be inimitable to getting hope. That what we need to do. I don't know
what that means.
We shouldn't just simply practice. That hope is a gift. What we need is trust and open heart, and thinking that we're doing it by. Look, I learned to ski, but I don't know how to ski. But I learned to ski by practice. I don't learn to love by practice. I don't learn to open my heart by practice. I learn to open my heart and trust. It's a gift. And if you grit your teeth, you're going to not make it because you can't get it just by yourself. It's grace.
Right.
But Carol, don't you think
Robin.
if, sorry, I often just talk.
Do it.
Don't you think that, when you are struggling with hope, when you are struggling with love, the practice comes from pause and making room for grace. So you're not just going, but you still have to practice that. Oh, okay, I'm in this state. I'm trying. You have to practice letting go and opening and making space for grace to come in and fill you with love and hope.
But that's again saying it's not you clenching your teeth, gritting your teeth to do it. It's you opening your heart.
Yes, but that's the practice.
That's the way of being. I want to make a difference between doing and being.
I agree with Robin, I think, because I think it does take practice to open your heart. From my experience, somebody that I was able to trust, I could open my heart a little bit. And then there's somebody else maybe in my life, there was, that I didn't trust as much, but then I could open my heart to them. And it's kind of
a building.
I don't know. Building, yes. And I started with one person, and then I was able to move to another person, and then to another person. And after I'd had enough positive experience, even if I opened my heart to somebody and they stepped all over it, I was still able to open my heart to other people. I could just sort of ignore those that stepped all over it.
And Carol, that doesn't mean I don't 100% agree with that. You can't clench your teeth to do it. You can't just be trying and working. It is that practice of pausing to be.
If I may, I think we have the two quotes. We have Emily Dickinson's "Hope is a thing with feathers," and then we have this "Hope is a thing that is a woman who just spat out a tooth as she rises for another go." That it doesn't have to be just one. It can be hope. Hope is gloriously both. Mm-hmm. It is something that we have to have grace, and it is something we have to have action about. It's there's nothing simple going on here. Harold, I gotta ask, because I see you squirming, man, and it looks like you got something you want to say, and you can totally pass, and that's fine. But if you gotta,
I think we're kind of delving into muddy waters that we're never going to get any agreement on, and I think we need to kind of get out of the muddy waters because everybody is an individual. And, Jonas Salk had hope he could solve polio, and he worked his butt off, and he did. I don't know that kind of agrees with Carol, but it's still part of the picture. And Carol's right with relationships. You gotta kind of open your heart before a relationship is fixed. And I think if we get down too deep in the hole, we're going to start.
It's what Dan told us last week. Dan used the quote, "Perfection is the enemy of good." That let's just have a good enough definition and we'll move from there. I'm going to add in something. This is Martin Luther King Jr. quote that I don't know how I found in my office. I have no idea where this came from, but he said this: "Everything that is done in this world is done by hope." That everything we're doing has to do with this topic. Go ahead, Ron.
I would, this is feeling to me a little bit like the whole way I look at the divine. I have a different set of metaphors, and so I use a different set of words than others. But, when we talk about we're quibbling over words. These words come out of our experience. They come out of, really fundamental parts of who we are. And so we can quibble over words and use different words to mean the same thing.
Exactly. And
but there have been way too many
are both
religious
true.
wars. There have been way too many religious wars over our choice of words to mean the same thing.
I agree. I don't. I'm gonna agree and slightly disagree. I think people. I don't think anyone's actually going to war over the Trinity.
I was taking the analogy
right.
off.
Okay, we're in the same place. Yeah. I think going to war over A4 paper versus 8.5 by 11. Now there's something to fight about.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Ray. You had your hand up.
Well, I was just thinking that that nothing is accomplished without hope. Yes, you have to have hope that you can do it. Otherwise, why try? But hope alone is not enough to cause change that you want to see in the world. It takes hard work.
It does. Yeah, and grace.
And grace. Yes.
It takes all of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let me try to put a container over what we're talking about. We're talking about hope. And it is a fleeting and it is a fighting thing. And hope is not a thing that's easy to define. But one thing that we have seen, and it was in this cartoon with the dots, is that hope requires action. Hope without action. I had here. Critical thinking without hope is cynicism. Hope without critical thinking is naivete. Okay, that doesn't have to do with action, but let's just add that in too. Oh, here's hope. Well, let's get to this one in a second. Critical thinking without hope is cynicism. Yeah, we all know some cynics. Hope without critical thinking is naivete. We have to not just have hope. It has to be hope for a thing. And here's hope. I think this is the one I was going for. Oh. Hope is inspirational goals tied to dynamic motivation. Inspirational goals, that gives us the positive goal. Gives us our reality. Oh, I'm on an echo now. Something's going weird.
Okay.
Okay, I think it got fixed. Whoever fixed it, thank you for fixing that. Hope. My little sermon on hope. Let's have hope. Let's make hope. Let's live. How are you? I'm striving for hope. Like, let's include hope in our daily conversations so that we can have more of it, because we desperately need to hold on to hope. Bob, then Jack, and then we'll move on.
Yes, I'm wondering whether hope and confidence are related, in that if I'm doing something that I've done before, I have the confidence to know that I can do that. If I've not done something before.
I love that. I love that, Jack. I love that, Bob. And I have a response to that. Every night, not every night, most nights, I'm on my front porch at 7 p.m. playing We Shall Overcome. And what I've come to realize, Bob, is while I was not here the last time, I was here the last time. While I'm not the one who overthrew bad governments, I am part of a tradition that did. While I didn't do it, I might not have the confidence because I haven't done it, but I have the confidence because I've seen it done. Go ahead, Jack, and then Rita.
Yeah. Yeah, hope is something I keep in my back left pocket. It's a major, for me, it's a major part of the spiritual life that we're all involved in shifting into.
Why your back left pocket, Jack, and not your back right pocket?
Because that's where grace is.
Can't they be together?
This is Jack's pockets. What Jack puts in Jack's pockets,
okay,
we're going to
okay.
leave to be.
I'll leave Jack's pockets.
I'm afraid to ask about the front pockets, Jack.
Well, my left front pocket all my life, I've kept my wallet there. And
my phone goes in my front left. That's
there
fair.
you go. And then the front right, I always keep empty.
Wonderful. Brita, help us out.
Well, I want to agree with something Dan said in the chat, and that is faith. That's not a word I've heard, but I think faith is an important action toward hope.
Thank you. So there are 4 words, 5 words. These words get used interchangeably: faith and hope and prayer and trust and belief. We are talking about the same thing. We're talking about this positive aspirational goal. That's what we're striving for. I'm going to pause us from our discussion here. Maria, are you ready with a list of, or do you got something else? Help me out. Go ahead.
No, just my internet is not behaving, so I hope that I don't cut out on people. These are the people to whom we are sending light and love: Alex, Emanula, Jen and Maeve, Lynn S., Rita W., Baby Gabe, Sheridan H., R.U. Lane Hill, Ebony, Cullen and family, Stephen Spade, Eric C. and Jen G., Mark, Caitlin, Leah, Sandy and Ron, and Don and Iona. If there is another person in our community to whom we can offer light and love, please put their name in the chat, and I will add them to the list on Facebook. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Thank you, Maria. And if I click the right buttons, there it is. We'll take a minute of time. Okay, thank you all. I want to pull a quote. My buddy ED put this on Facebook. Oops. Hope is not passive. It is the fuel of resilience. It is the courage to act when fear says be still. The determination to build when the world is crumbling, and the belief that justice will prevail because we refuse to let it die. This is where I would ask for an amen.
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 Thank you, ED, for sharing that beautiful quote with us. Let's combine some things. Let's talk about having hope. Having some active hope in our lives. Can't do it at all. What would be next?
Do it with outside help.
Outside help is over here.
Hand holding.
Yeah, hand holding. That's where we are right now. And that's, folks, that's all right. Oh, I understand. That was outside hints. It could have been either way. My bad. Right now we're here. We're talking about it. We're doing it together. Some of us, and this is not, you're not a better person because your gas tank is full. You're not better. It's just where you find yourself on hope right now. There's no grade. It's just where you are. You might be at a place where you need outside hints. You might be at a place where, what would 4 be?
Inside
Mind
hints.
yourself.
Yeah, you can remind yourself.
Self hints.
You give yourself some self hints. And number 5 is those moments of grace where you have it.
And you do it.
You have it. I like how you said that. You have it and you do it. Because this is
I like that.
hope that we're talking about. It's both. Okay.
Not what you believe, it's what you do.
Ron, you just said it's not what you believe, it's what you do. And I'm going to riff on that for a moment. I have a quote that I'm particularly fond of myself for having come up with. I'm fond of this quote. And it says this: with regard to the answer you give to the question, do you believe in God? I do not care. But were I to ask the last 5 people with whom you interacted, were they kind? About that answer, I care very much. I'm going to say that again. Your answer to the question, do you believe in God? I do not care very much. But if I were to ask the last 5 people with whom you interacted, were they kind? About that answer, I care very much. It's not about your beliefs, it's about what you do, how you are. Okay. Let's talk about homework for the week. I always think you have a better chance of doing homework if you know what the homework is. Write your own assignment. This is graduate school, folks. What are you going to do this week? Take a moment to think about it. This week, I would like to practice blank. This week, I will try not to blank. What do you got?
Hope.
Hope. This week,
Yeah.
I will explore more about hope. Or this week, I will toy around with actually having hope.
Hope so.
Thank you, Rob. We got about 5 minutes still here. And I'm going to just stay quiet and see if anything bubbles up from the group here.
I have a
Let
goal,
me
Rabbi.
make some announcements. Oh, go ahead, and then I'll make an announcement.
I want to think about figure out how
to the stage 2 somebody in my life, how to have them have hope, help them have hope. I want to figure out what the hand over hand looks like, what I can do just to give them the idea that it's something that is even possible.
I think it might also wind up echoing with Andy. It's very hard to give somebody hope. But it's worth a week. Let's take a week and see. Let's find out. Anyone else have a thing they want to look at? Let me give some announcements. Hey, folks. If you're having a hard time with the world, you know what? That seems appropriate. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be having a hard time. We're not supposed to be happy all the time. Just try not to kick your ass for having a hard time. If you're having a hard time, you're having a hard time. You do not deserve an ass kicking because you're having a hard time. Somebody asked me to repeat that from last week, so I'm going to say it one more time. If you're having a hard time, you do not deserve to have your ass kicked because you're having a hard time. If you're having a hard time, you deserve love. In a moment, we're going to shut down the live stream and we're going to go into small breakout groups if you'd like. You don't have to. We have the politics room is going to be reopened. Yes, we haven't had the politics room since the election. And Jeff, would you tell us a little bit about what the point of the politics room is so that the people can know?
The point of the politics room today is to just get people caught up onto what is actually happening. Things that are going on.
Not to convince each other.
Right. That might be going on under the radar that you just don't know are going on.
So that's the politics room. And Maria, would you tell us a little bit about the More to Share room?
The More to Share is just to come, and if there was something in the first hour that you didn't have a chance to share, or you want to share in a small group, come on over.
That's more to share. And then we also have the deep dive room. Does somebody, Meg or Al, tell us a little bit about what's going on in deep dive today?
Well, deep dive is just to take a look at what we've talked about in the main service and see if there are some of the ideas that we can explore deeper, so to speak.
And Ron, would you tell us about poetry today?
We have a few poems about hope into action.
Love it.
And also I went to a poetry as spiritual practice workshop this week, and I got some cool poems out of that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for all the people who are running these small groups afterwards. There's also the clergy corner. If you if you got a thing that you need to tell me, this is kind of like, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. All right, let's wave to all the people who are not joining us because they're on Facebook or watching afterwards. And keep waving because I'm having a hard time finding the end button. There's the end button. Bye.